Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The movie starts in a small town in France. Charles is going to school with Remy, who mentions during the trip that he's saving a lot of money from his new job. But Charles has always been an emotionless child, so he didn't show any reaction to the news. After school, the boy returns home, does his homework, and decides to prick his hand with a pin to learn to ignore pain. But Yvonne interrupts him and calls him for dinner. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Mrs. Margaret receives her children, who bring her a special gift for her birthday. When she opens the box, she finds Baxter, a white Bull Terrier who was a stray and was rescued from the local animal shelter. Once freed from his leash, the dog runs wildly around the house, knocking over many things, breaking vases and scattering her clothes. At the beauty salon, Margaret tells the hairdresser about Baxter's behavior, but the man says it's natural and that they'll get used to their new life in time. On her way home, she is with her friend Andrea, who suggests that if she doesn't feel safe with the dog, she should call her daughter Florence to take him back to the shelter. But she doesn't know that this dog is actually very smart and can think more than any other animal, with keen observations of human habits and behavior. Baxter considers the only happy moment of his day to be when he runs in the garden, experiencing freedom and hunting small wild rats. But this pleasure doesn't last long because Margaret always forces him to stay indoors. Over time, Margaret and Baxter become friends, and this friendship makes her abandon the idea of returning the animal. A few days later, while playing cards in a restaurant, Andrea asks about Baxter and notices that his friend is still hesitant about the dog. He suggests calling Florence to take the dog back to the shelter. Margaret's friend refuses and tells the old man to stop interfering in her life and leave her dog alone, as he is now her new companion. To avoid upsetting his friend further, Andrea apologizes, saying it was all a misunderstanding. But the woman doesn't care and leaves the table. Over time, Baxter becomes puzzled by Margaret, as she never does anything fun and doesn't give him any orders, making him think she's waiting for the right time to eat him or get rid of him. Watching the neighborhood from the window, the dog notices that the neighbors are moving out and a new couple is moving into their house, encouraging him to get to know them. That night, Charles returns home, and when he notices his mother having another party with her friends, he tries to sneak to his room unnoticed. But Yvonne finds him and asks him to greet the guests. Afterward, the boy goes to his room, enjoying looking at many pictures of soldiers' battles during World War II. At Margaret's house, Baxter continues to observe the daily life of the new couple. When he notices that his owner will prevent him from staying at the window, he decides to attack her. The next day, after hearing that her mother had fallen and gotten hurt, Florence goes to Margaret's house and puts some bandages on her legs. Later, Margaret gets up, and the shelter owner helps her walk around the house, asking about Baxter's strange behavior. He suggests that the dog might have felt abandoned by his previous owner. The man explains that since he was given to the old lady, he might have interpreted it as betrayal and felt worthless to his old owner. At that moment, Florence brings some sheets and asks her mother to sleep on the ground floor for a while, as she won't be able to climb the stairs with her injured leg. So Margaret spends a few nights on the sofa bed, while Baxter continues spying on the neighbors. Charles, at home, watches a documentary about World War II and enjoys seeing the constructions made by the Soviets, deciding to imitate them. He prints a plan for one of the shelters built by military leaders. The next morning, Andrea goes to the beauty salon and asks about Margaret's whereabouts, but the hairdresser replies that he doesn't know where she is because she canceled her appointment 3 weeks ago. Hearing this, the old man becomes worried and goes to the woman's house. But when she senses Andrea's presence, she decides to avoid him and closes all the windows so he won't notice her. After a few days, Baxter notices that Margaret is increasingly affected by severe loneliness, changing her behavior, making the dog stay close to his owner. Andrea, realizing she won't welcome him, decides to go home. From there, he calls Margaret, but she continues to ignore him and goes to take a shower. To get closer to her pet, the woman pulls the dog into the bathtub, but Baxter gets terrified and escapes the room, climbing the stairs. Feeling guilty for what she did, Margaret goes to her dog trying to climb the stairs while apologizing for scaring him, promising to bring him delicious food and let him play in the garden for a while. The next day, Andrea remains worried about his friend, fearing she might be in danger, so he decides to visit her again, breaking the door to enter the house, causing Baxter to flee the place quickly. The dog runs towards the neighbor's house, entering their room during a romantic moment. When Amy notices his presence, she warns her husband, who goes to the window to understand how Baxter managed to escape the house. When he does, he is shocked to see Andrea screaming for help, saying that Mrs. Margaret fell from the stairs and got injured. Unfortunately, Margaret died. At Margaret's funeral, Amy meets Florence and asks her to take care of Baxter, as she doesn't like pets at all. The dog feels a new happiness as he can now enjoy the sounds and smells in the garden with his new owner. where they treat him like their child. A few days later, Amy throws a surprise birthday party for Jim and presents a crazy show with Baxter. After the amazing dance performance, the woman goes to her husband and reveals she's pregnant, making the man very happy. Meanwhile, Charles continues to develop his shelter plan, and after gathering all the necessary materials for the structures, he goes to the scrapyard. The boy quickly starts building, digging a large hole to expand his shelter. Over time, Baxter feels gradually forgotten by his owners, and the husband is very excited about the baby's arrival. The dog decides to get closer to Jim and be with him more because he enjoys interacting with the dirt in the garden. But after the baby is born, Baxter is locked in the garage at home, and this made him very angry because he was abandoned once again by his friends. One day, Jim freed the animal again and allowed it to meet their new son. When Baxter saw the child, he was confused because he would never understand the love humans feel towards their children. He continued to look at the weak child who had no teeth or hair. Baxter behaved very gently so that his owner wouldn't keep him locked in the garage. Jim asked the dog to be very gentle with his son so they could live happily together in his friend's garden. Baxter tried to think of a plan to get rid of the child, but it was very difficult because Jane was always watching the baby. So Baxter decided to wait until she was a little distracted and push the baby into the pool to get rid of him, then pretend to help after it was too late. Meanwhile, Charles went to the old junkyard and entered his hideout. He found his control panel with its electrical system, and the turbines were working. He made sure everything was working well. But at that moment, Margaret's spirit appears and starts talking to him. She told him that now was the time for him to rest, and that they should let the young people lead the world as they wanted, so that they could deal with the hardships and disappointments later on. When Andrea heard the words of the spirit before his end, he slept on her shoulder and lost his life at the same moment. When Charles returned home, he met his father, who asked him to choose a gift quickly because his birthday was coming up and he was hesitant. The boy went to his room, and there he saw many pictures of famous people with their pets. This made him finally know what he wanted for his birthday. The next day, the Baxter family gathered in the garden again. When Baxter noticed that the couple had moved away about the garden, the dog moved quickly and went towards the baby to throw him into the pool. But the dog barked too early and warned the couple, which made Jim save his son in time, which made Baxter's plan fail completely. Of course, the couple was worried about their son, so Jim and Amy decided to make an advertisement for someone to adopt the dog. This caught Charles' attention after that. The boy went to the couple's house with Michael. After he gathered everything for the dog, they took him home after a few days. Very quickly, Charles and Baxter became friends, so he decided to beat him up to make him stronger and more dangerous. He started training him while he was beating up ragdolls and running in the streets next to his new friend. Baxter feels that he has finally found the person he has been dreaming of and will be happy with him. At this time, Charles has developed his dog's skills more, and this has made him comfortable to take orders at any time. During his trip on the school bus, the boy continued to collect pictures of the war, but they were interrupted by his classmate Eva, who asked him to. She sits next to him because she loves Charles. The girl tried to get closer to him, but when she felt that the boy did not care about her, she left the chair and walked. When Charles returned to his secret hiding place, he noticed a car coming towards the junkyard and decided to go out to see what was happening. When the boy approached, he discovered that Baxter was under the car, and this made the driver very angry after what they calmed down the dog. The fanatic man told Charles that he should not leave his dog without it being tied up because this could cause big problems in the future. At that time, the boy discovered that Ava was inside the car, and the girl revealed that was her father who had come to take some things from the place when she noticed that the man was returning. The girl said that she would take her dog for a walk with her for a while after that, and that would allow her to visit her friend. In the middle of the night, the driver returned home, and when he noticed that Ava was wearing his wife's clothes, he got annoyed and asked her where she intended to go. While she was trying to hide her plans, the girl said that she would only walk with her dog, but the crazy man did not believe him and broke his daughter's radio, which made the girl angry and she left. After that, the girl became a piece of junk, and when Charles noticed that his friend was approaching, he locked Baxter in the hideout to prevent his friend from disrupting the meeting while he was enjoying the view in the place. Eva revealed that she intended to escape from the city and went to live with her mother, who was like her. So she left the house because she could not bear to live next to her father, who was constantly disrespecting her. During the conversation, Baxter began barking non-stop, and when she asked him about the reason for Charles's behavior, he told her that he just locked him up so that he would not bother them. But the girl did not listen to him. The boy decided to free the dog, who quickly tried to get close to his new owner. After a while, Baxter felt that Charles was not being treated the same way and tried to get his owner back, who was very angry because he did not listen to him and rejected the dog and also ordered him to stay away from him. At that moment, a street dog went towards the junkyard and Baxter to protect his land. He went towards him and started fighting. When Charles noticed what was happening, he quickly went to separate the animals, but when he saw that his dog was winning, he retreated and let the dog continue fighting. He knew how strong his master was. The boy started treating him with more respect because now he could use the dog as a fighting machine. One day, during his bus trip, Eva went to her friend. She revealed that her dog had given birth to puppies from Baxter. But her father did not like to take care of so many animals, and he ordered his daughter to get rid of the dogs herself, instead of him doing so. When he saw the little dogs, Charles offered to adopt them because he had ideas about what they could do with the little dogs. The next day, while he was guarding the area around the hideout, the boy met Remy, who still loves to collect cans to get money. He was looking for something to recycle among this junk. The boy decided to go down into the hole. At that time, Charles appeared and ordered Baxter to attack his friend while he was removing the ladder from the hole. Remy was terrified and asked. The boy wanted to leave him, but Charles ignored him and asked his dog to finish off Remy. But Baxter felt that his friend misunderstood him because he doesn't kill his targets without an important reason, and this made him stand still and let Remy escape. Charles became very angry with the dog because he didn't listen to his crazy words, animal confinement, the garage, and hit him a lot as punishment. With time, the boy became more agitated, and after examining the bodies of the two little dogs, he decided to get rid of them because he felt that they might have made Baxter weak. Now that he was left outside the junkyard without food or drink, Baxter was terrified, and this made his natural instincts return. He started running and smelling the scent. His sons, the dogs who disappeared during his search, were able to smell them close to him, and when he found the bodies, he became very angry because he immediately understood that Charles was the one who killed them and threw them in the hole. Charles, who was very angry with the dog for not listening to him, appeared. The boy decided to attack him and threw many things at him, which made the dog scared and tried to escape. The problem was that Baxter was completely trapped amidst the junk in the place, leaving him with no choice but to wait until his punishment was over. To finish him off completely, the boy grabbed a large metal barrel and tried to throw it at the dog, but its weight made him stumble, slip, and fall in front of the dog. When he felt he could finally take revenge, Baxter went towards the crazy boy, but when he heard the sounds his owner had taught him during training, he couldn't disobey at that moment and sat on the ground, becoming completely weak. The angry Charles grabbed a metal rod from the junk and hit the dog repeatedly to end its life. A few hours passed until Michael and Yvonne searched for their son in the junkyard. When they saw him still beating Baxter's dead body, the man quickly went to the boy, who lied and said the dog was going to kill him, leaving him no choice but to defend himself. Hearing this, Michael said everything would be okay, and after hugging their son, the couple took him home. Over time, Charles felt more attracted to the neighbors, so he decided to plan a big accident to cause a major fire in his house and kill his father and mother. This is the end of the film, and we'll meet in another summary. Thank you for watching.